Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lilu nishmasi mimirosirus basmordechai Rabbi Isai. Tremendous mazel tov to my very good friend and everybody's good friend, Reb Nachman Seltzer. Anigin? Agefen, minvei agefen, dovono umiskaven, dovono umiskaven, minvei agefen, minvei agefen, dovono umiskaven, dovono umiskaven. Is everything okay? Okay, good. Nachman Seltzer's daughter got engaged. The first shidduch in his mishpacha. So it's tremendous simcha. Welcome to all the guests. Shalom Aleichem. Right, Wolkenstein. The Belzer. A Belzer from? Borough Park. And how many hidden Belzers do we have? There's a lot. Undercover. They have smartphones or no? The diagonist, not the original. They have the regular phone. They have like the Yerushalmi lady. They have all what they need. I got it. All right, Plank is here. Yeah, Shalom Aleichem. We're sitting over there. He's not a guest anymore. You came with the Shver. Who's that? The ganze Mishpacha is here. Shalom Aleichem Dak.
Eli wants to announce the name of the boy.
Oh, the name is the boy. What's the name of the boy?
The name of the girl is El. That's my daughter.
Yael, the daughter. Famous composer, singer. If you're a girl, you know. Yeah.
And the boy's name is Naftali Brandman.
Naftali Brandman with Chicago connections. The Brandmans from Chicago. So, Yevaldik. Looking forward. Oh, Rabbi said the whole Olam, should I tell the Olam from America is invited to the Vart at Prushim at 8 o'clock Sunday. All right. Rebelli, you told me before I moved back to the UK not to give up on the daf. Baruch Hashem, one day at a time. I'm still steiging with you. It's most definitely the Yomi, not the daf these days. Hope to see you in the Chaver Bakarim. I'm coming to Eretz Yisrael, Mr. Shu and L'chaim Henach Schwinger. Look at him. I guess he's doing the from the. That's the part that he's doing. He does the beginning of the daf, the and then he shuts it off or something like that. That's what he. It's not posed, right? It's not posed, no. Yosef and Michal Y doing the daf during the Ishai Rebo concert in New York. That's for sure not posed. I mean, there's the noise levels and everything. It's very conducive for learning Torah. Shalom Rebelli, just wanted to give you a little nachas. One of them Talmidim was a participant of your shir, is in rehab, and the standard policy is take away the phone for the first week. That meant falling behind in the daf. But he wouldn't be stopped from the day he got back. He spent 3 hours catching all of his dapim. I can attest to this. Never would have happened before. For not the unique, enjoyable shir you give, Ashrecha Chechel Araisa Kol Tuv Ari Levitan. And Rabbi Isai, the email we've been waiting for months from Eli doubled. Just like that, it came in. Last night I was here with Gershon in the basement at 12 o'clock in the morning because we're trying to make sure that the technology is good for Yerushalayim, which, by the way, is in the Sivasar, and 10 o'clock Motzei Shabbos. All the guys I hope from. Did you speak to the guys from Ramat? Those guys, the Chevra, the guy from the guy that makes all the American dips, the best dips in the world. Is he coming? Greenblatt, all those guys. No, get on the phone with them. Like I told you at the Mega Shir in Brooklyn, I was experiencing a writer's block for a stretch. Each email I write, Rabbi said, "Get your." So I'm here with Gershon, and he's doing his thing. So I open up the email and I start laughing to myself. He goes, "What's wrong with you?" He says, "Tomorrow you'll understand." Each email I write, I treat like writing an essay. It seems lately I was going through a phase of lois essay. First of all, your chocolate chip on the Yamka story is the Beis Yitzchak. In the Beis Yitzchak, there's the old famous Yiddish expression, if a ganav brent a hittel, he goes through the whole story. The guy ran away and the guy screamed to him, you have a fire on your hat, and he took it off so everybody chapped his gun. Now he goes, I got to skip through because I have a bunch of very chashuv emails I have to read today. I learned, needless to say, one person's... I'd like to point out some of the things that Yevamos has taught me. I learned that when I hear one of your children saying, I'm going bye-bye, I find myself screaming from the other side of the house, Chas v'shalom. I learned something about supply and demand in MDY market influence, as there are currently no pink Crocs available on Amazon. If you know about the Yerushalmi lady, she has Crocs, the Berkson lady. Avi's wife, who he left in Dubai last night. I learned that bald is beautiful. I also learned a useful tip that will help my 13-year-old son who sometimes struggles with vocabulary. I'm sending him to Panovich next year. Woman, there's another one here. Oh, I learned that it's not a good idea to listen to certain sugis and Yevamos on speaker on my phone while walking near groups of women on 16th Avenue on the way to catch Mincha at Menashe Klein's. Thank you, everybody, for teaching me Torah daily, and thank you everybody for keeping the atmosphere so vibrant. I hope I was yoytze this month's email, Yoeli Alevi Doppel. P.S. Shammai Goldberg, who sent the email asking for double dose, is my business partner. No wonder. No. And my best friend. And for the last few months, he barely works anymore, as most of his waking hours are spent on figuring out how to get more people to join MDY. Yet miraculously, not only has our bottom line not suffered, but it's gone up. A boy side, listen to this one. This one is a serious one. From Einon. And his email is kleinfelterpatient@gmail.com. A made-up email. I'm greatly indebted to you for what you have brought to my life, and I would never suggest that you haven't done your homework in understanding and explaining the sugya. The only thing I'd like to bring to your attention is that the last few dafim have been very difficult for me to learn, as I was born with Klinefelter syndrome, and I won't say I take offense, but I was somewhat surprised that you follow that sefer in describing Srischama as Klinefelters. Baruch Hashem, I have children. I fight through difficult IVF, but it's possible for people like me to have kids. Hearing time and time again that I'm the one the Gemara is referring to is a bit painful. Again, I apologize in no way, I mean the dispute. Just as I would suggest he ask the likes of Reb Yitzchak Melber of Taharenu, Reb David Aryeh Morgenstern, or expert in this field before following Psak on one obscure sefer. P.S. I just opened this mail address for the purpose of understanding. Fine. I hear what he's saying, and I asked Mechila if I heard his feelings, and I was just reading from the sefer. At the end of the day, we have to understand that a Sris Chama is allowed to get married. We never said anything. It's the Sris Adam that has the problem. He's saying that Kleinfelders is not Sris Chama. Okay, fine. I didn't say. I said it was interesting that the guy that wrote the sefer thought it was that. Fine. The Koilo is sponsored for Hatzlacha the Kol Mishpachas MDY. Zchuriyah, Wואלערשטיין, Zchuriyah by his kids. Ahron Fraiman, Lzchus, continue parnasah and siyadta dishmaya and Hatzlacha to rebellion. The boy family, Eli Weinberg A. The Wolkenstein family, and Torah and Ken Major by the Lock and Lebovic families, Lakewood NJ, because Torah is the best segulah. Chaya bas Yosef and Aliyah. As HaKaras HaTov to Hashem and Lzchus for continued health and bracha. Today's sponsor wishing Reb Ahron Wenick on his birthday a year of Hatzlacha in Gashmius Ruchnius. Ahron Wenick. I wonder if that was my neighbor in the show. Who's? You know? His brother. The Wenicks. Shkoyach. Dr. Marc Berkson in honor of Chaya and Ken Major for the Schus Shiduchum of 4 of their daughters. By Alan Listow, Shalom Aleichem Reb Allen. Dr. Allen is in the house in memory of my father-in-law, Rabbi Eli Ben Aaron David on his 25th yard side. He was a great guy, right up until he left me with my mother-in-law for 14 years. Nobody ever made a joke right after Lili Nishmas. Yishkoyach, Doc. Oh no, it's some of the where is he? He's not here. He's different now. Okay, but yeah, Alan Listow does make these kind of jokes. I'm surprised it wasn't. By Alan and by his sister who's a doctor and by his other sister who's a doctor and by his 4th sister who's a doctor. We limit the characters now. Yudah Kirlin, what? We limit the characters now. Who? Oh, we limit. Oh, that's right. But he got in a good job. Here, Nachman, let's say the joke. His father-in-law was a great guy right up until he left me with my mother-in-law for 14 years. Yudah Kirlin, Refuah Shlema Adasa Bas Nicole, and a healthy pregnancy. All right, Rabbi Isai, here we are, Daf Pei. Daf Pei on the bottom. So we start off the shir with a chart. Pei Amud Beis on the bottom. We learned in the Mishnah that according to Rebbe Akiva, a Sris Chama, I just put a sun there so that you can see that's the same thing. The red and the green, the first red and the green on the right are the same case. Just one is Rebbe Akiva, one is Rebbe Eliezer. Sris Chama doesn't do chalitza, which is very interesting. I mentioned then when we learned it, going back to the guy that wrote the email, a Sris Chama doesn't do chalitza, but he does get married. According to Rebbe Eliezer, a Sris Chama does chalitza and gets married. Everybody agrees that a Sris Chama could get married. That wasn't the question. Okay. Now, could you prove from the Mishnah like any one of the two? Both of these are in the Mishnah. Rebbe Akiva and Rebbe Eliezer. Rebbe Akiva says a Sris Chama, he's born with some sort of syndrome, whatever you want to call it, not Kleinfelter, something else. His brother dies, he doesn't do chalitza. So could you prove from the Mishnah? Says the Gemara, yes. Because the Mishnah says at the end, hasaretz loy chayletz. What's hasaretz? It could be chama, it could be adam. Which one is it? It's obvious from the Mishnah that it's talking about a sris chama, and it says loy chayletz. So who's that a raya to? Rabbi Isai, if you look at the chart, sris chama loy chayletz. Rebbe Akiva. That's all the Gemara is saying here. Hasaretz loy chayletz loy miyavim. Katani, it says at the end of the Mishnah, saris. And in the same sentence it says, islanders. So therefore, saris dumida islanders. Ma islanders b'dei shamayim, av saris b'dei shamayim. So therefore, we're talking about a case that a person was born like this. He never had a shasa kosher. There's different b'dei shamayims, by the way. Yeah, there's a b'dei shamayim that happened later on in life. We're talking about the b'dei shamayim, he was born like that. And therefore, Ustama ki Rebbe Akiva. Yes, the beginning of the Mishnah talks about Rebbe Akiva. The middle of the Mishnah talks about Rebbe Eliezer. But the end of the Mishnah says an anonymous sentence. Saris loy chayletz. Seems like the anonymous Mishnah, which we like to paskin like, the anonymous Mishnah, goes like Rebbe Akiva. Beautiful. In that the green, Saris Adam chayletz, b'dei shamayim, the red, the Sris Chama, loy, and that fits right into the Stam Mishnah, Gevaldik. Next. Hasar shecholas livim doi, loy pasla. If a Saris who's not eligible does chalitza, so he's nothing. His chalitza is nothing. However, if he's miyavim, the Yevamos, illegally, so what happened? Now, he's a Eishes Ach. She's a Eishes Ach. She's the wife of a brother. Shaloi b'makim mitzvah. He's not allowed to be miyavim her. He doesn't even have to do chalitza. Certainly no yibam. So he rendered her a zayna. Why? Because Eishes Ach shaloi b'makim mitzvah. It's a karas, and that creates a zayna. Time the balahu. It seems like if you want to be medayik, like a full diuk, it seems like if a Sris Chama is miyabim his Yevamos, it's not yibum in this case, it's stam bia, he renders her a zayna. He makes her pasal a kahuna. Ha'acher, loy. What if it's another person who steps in? So, assuming even in a case where this Saris Chama has other brothers, so she's still a Yevamos, she's not muteres l'shuk. If there's no other brothers, then anybody could have relations with her. She can get married normally, whatever. We're talking about a woman who cannot get married. She can't go out into the marketplace. Why? She's a Yevamos l'shuk. She's a Yevamos. She can't just get married. And somebody had relations with her. Seems like she's not a zayna. Only this guy, the Saris guy, makes her a zayna, and not anybody else. And what would be the svara? Because anybody else is only what? A lav. Eishes Ach, shaloi b'makim mitzvah, marrying your sister-in-law without yibum, is this a deraisa karas? Marrying Yevamos shuk, like see Eishes Hamei Zachutz l'Jzar. No, a lav. Ha'achelai. Leimet heavy, top of Pei Aleph, Amud Aleph, 80 daf into Yevamos. Unbelievable. We're almost done, by the way. 2/3, mamish 2/3. So I'm going to be sad. I'm starting to get used to it. I never had an issue with the Yevamos, never. To me, it's good. When you prepare, you see it's not that difficult. He says, anybody that has relations with this Yevamos, and it's not a brother-in-law, it's not a Yavam, makes her a Zayna. Why? Because of the Zika, she's like a Eishes Ish. She's mamish. She belongs to the yavam. He just has to finish up. He has to do whatever he needs to do. But right now, she is zkuka to a yavam, and she has a halacha veishasish. Halacha veishasish makes her, and she went with somebody else. She's a zayna. So l'chayr it's a stira to Rav Hamnuna. If you want, our diuk doesn't fit well with Rav Hamnuna. Says the Gemara, loy. We don't have a good diuk. When our Mishnah says that this Saras guy makes her a zayna, it means even him, everybody else also makes her a zayna. So then why does it talk about the Saras? It says in the Reisha, Bididei, it says that it's Sris Chama. Right? It talks about Chalitza of a Sris Chama. That the Chalitza doesn't passel. Right? We said Halacha. If, we read it. If he does chalitza, the last line on Pei Amud Beis. Hasar shachal levimtoi loy pasla. If you do chalitza, he doesn't passel. And if he does hibum, he does. Because it flows nicely. We're talking about the Saras guy. He did chalitza, he didn't do anything wrong. If he does hibum, he does something wrong. It's not as geshmak as saying, if the Saras guy does chalitza, didn't do anything wrong, and everybody else in the world, it is bad. It doesn't flow so well. We're talking about one guy, we're continuing with the same guy. Even though we could have said everybody else. Next Gemara, v'chein eilenish shechol tzulachem. So you have an eilenis who cannot be a yevama because she cannot be making shame for her husband. So no chalitza, no yibum. Go the brothers, and they did chalitza. Garnished, it's like doing chalitza. Stop. But if they're boil. Passel her. So now she can't get married to a kahn. Time of the balua. Haloi balua. Loi. What about if nothing happened? Nothing. Zero. She's not a zayna. Now, if you think about it, it's a big chiddush. I was talking to the guy, one of the guys in the koil that took 1,000 daf test. You know, he knows his stuff inside out. And I mentioned this Gemara to him before he got there, and he completely forgot that we learned it. I mean, 40 days ago or something. But we learned it. It's a huge chiddush. He was almost like shocked. Like, oh yeah. The what? You have an islandess, nevach. The doctor says, here's your. You can prove it. Here's the documentation. You're an islandess. You have all the simon of an islandess. You're an islandess. And then on top, at the end, it says in big red letters, Zayna. She didn't do anything. She never got married. Nothing. Zayna. We have a shita like that. Who? Rabbi Yehuda. Kiman the like Rabbi Yehuda. The Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Eilen is Zayna. Without doing Zayna is not literally like, they use it today in Hebrew. It couldn't mean that also. It means she's not roy in a way. She's not roy for a kohen. She has Allah of a Zayna without any biyah. Well, obviously our Mishnah doesn't hold like him. Says the Mishnah, the official Mishnah sponsored anonymously for the Lzchus, for my wife, in other words, the guy that donated his wife and children, Sris Chama Koyen, Shenasa Bas Yisrael. If we go back to how we started off the shir with the email, the guy here, let's go back to this chart. No, it's not on the chart, but according to everybody, Yishmak, you see the Gemara over there? I really think, if you try doing the whole, is it possible to do the whole Amud? I know, but here's the issue we have to discuss later. But I think the whole Amud should be on because people that are not watching on the screen the Gemara, they have an open Gemara. Once in a while they get lost and they want to look in the screen where we're holding. So they need to see it based on the whole Amud. Then there's people that are just watching the screen, and that's okay. You can do 1 or 2 lines. It's great for them.
We have to not sway side to side.
I need to change. I need to change my behavior. You guys don't have to change your thing. Okay, fine. I'll change.
I can put it on the full side.
So says the Gemara. Okay. Is this okay?
When you were in America and you had an office chair, you were all over the place.
When I was in America. We're talking about now. Here in Israel, Gashmius, have a chair. No, the reason I was swinging all over the place is because the type of people that showed up to the chair over there is different. Wait, no, I just insulted a whole. Erase. Sris Chama Kohen Shenasa Bas Yisrael. Could a Sris Chama get married? Rabbi said, could a Sris Chama get married? Anybody say they can't get married? No one says a Sris Chama can't get married. A Sris Chama who is a Saris Min HaShamayim, that's how he was born. or something else. He got hit by thunder. We learned thunder, hail. Okay, so it's chama, kohen, shenas bas Yisrael. So is it a good marriage? He married a Yisrael. Good marriage? Yes, great marriage. Ma'achila b'truma. So she could eat truma. What's the chiddush? Zcharya, there's no chiddush. The Gemara says it's a chiddush. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon Oimrim. Androgynous. What's an androgynous? Androgynous is, the way I understand it, basically it's a human being that has zachrus and nakvus together. It's like not a fully developed zachrus. It looks like both. It's like a mixture. It's not that the innards are both. He doesn't have both reproductive systems. It's one or the other. But the chitzonius is confusing. It looks like both. It's semi-developed zachar, but it looks like an akeva kind of thing. That's how I understand it. But halachically, Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Shimon hold these as zachar. And therefore what? Androgynous kohen shenasa bas Yisrael, since he has a halacha of a zachar, ma'achila b'truma, they hold he's a vadei zachar. We don't have a suffix here. Because if it's a suffix, maybe he's an akeva can't marry another akeva and be machler truma. Okay, moving on. Tumtum shenikra. So tumtum is reproductive. The whole whatever it is in his body still. So we don't know what it is. You look, there's just skin. So tumtum shenikra. But if they did perform some sort of procedure, they tore it open. V'nimtza zachar lo yachlit. Why? There's no chalitza, nothing. Mipnei shu kisaris. Because the Gemara holds that a kid like that, it's not just skin. This is a developmental problem with the child. This kid can't have kids. This person can't have kids. Who's a tumtum that had kids? Luckily for us, Avram Avinu. As I state. Oh, I have to find it for you. What? We had it, no? We had it. Maybe you weren't here. Yeah. I'll have to find it for you. I'm not the person to ask where. I can tell you today. It's Amud Beis on the bottom. Samach Dalet Amud Beis, he says. Let's look it up real quick. Why not? Sarah was also. She was also tumtum. Yeah. That a few problems there.
I don't remember tumtum.
I don't know. If you see it.
It's something that I would remember.
Oh, here, top of. Island of Soyso. No. No, that we know. Okay, fine. No, what does it say? Avram Sor Tum D'Maya. Very good. Samach Dalet Amud Aleph says Levi. By the way, the Kyle guys are doing the test today. Wish them luck. Only 30 daf though. But the 30s, the Belzer told me yesterday that he stays up almost all night for the 30. And this is the Belzer. I used to stay up all night. Not a joke. Very tough stuff. And they got a new boychen who destroyed them. Top score this past month was like a 98. No hundreds. People were mamish, very new guy asking crazy questions. The questions are very tricky, very Okay. What? Yeah, the slacking. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah. Androgynous, noisei, since he's a zachar, he can get married to a woman. He cannot be the woman in the marriage. He can't get married to a zachar. Reb Eliezer oimer androgynous chayavim olav skila kezachar. Since he's a zachar, so you chayav on him like a zachar. We're going to discuss more. Says the Gemara Pshita. We said that if a Saris Chama who's allowed to get married gets married to Yisraelis, and he's a Kohen, he feeds her truma Pshita. What's the chiddush? For this, we have to see the pasuk for a second, which we learned. It says over here, "V'koyin kiknin nefesh kinyan kasboy," right? So she's a kinyan kasboy, so she should eat. V'yilid beisoy heim yoichle v'lachmoy. and we darshan yachilu, yoichlu yachilu. So I would think there's such a drasha that you have to yachilu. They have to be able to feed others. So you have to be a moiled. You have to be able to be somebody that has children. And if you don't have children, that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. It's going into your new lecture. Reb Yosef, Reb Shimon, Androgynos, no, I'm saying it's one of these.
When did that go away?
I don't know. There was stages. That's what they say.
He was married to Hagar, he was still a tumtum?
No, the
When
whole
was it? No. When did he lose it?
lose it, and then Sarah. Sarah also had different stages. Tumtum went away, then Akara. Reb Yosef, Reb Shimon, Androgynos. I asked the Shaila yesterday. They didn't like it so much. They said it comes out that, according to Reb Yehuda, that an islandess is a Zaina, so Avram was with a Zaina. So Chavrush says so. Okay, but he was making it all on everything. But he wasn't a Kohen, right? But still, like Pasnish, so he says, so he brought me a checkmate that Tamar, no, who was it? No, Rachav, Zaina, Yeshua married a Zaina, right?
No, she's a Giyarus.
Okay. Reb Yosef said, Ishtik. Reb Yosef, Reb Shimon Oimrim, Androgynos is like a Zachar. Amr Shlokish, Ma'achila b'truma, ve'ein ma'achila b'chaz v'shoik. Since the marriage is not a deraisa, it's not chaz v'shoik is a deraisa, so we don't. He doesn't get to eat chaz v'shoik because the marriage is not a deraisa marriage. Rabbi Yochanan Noimer, af ma'achila b'chaz v'shoik. No, could eat chaz v'shoik again. It's one of the gifts that when you bring a shlamim, you give to the kohen. Chaz v'shoik is deraisa. The marriage is deraisa. She gets to eat chaz v'shoik. Uler shlokish ma'ishna chaz v'shoik what? Uler shlokish ma'ishna chaz v'shoik deraisa. Trumanami deraisa. So, good. Chav. Truma is also deraisa. How could he feed her something that's deraisa when the whole marriage is derabanan? Says the Gemara of Ma'askinon, betruma bezman hazeh derabanan. We're talking about now our days. You want to hear a fascinating thing? According to the Rambam, the reason why truma bezman hazeh is derabanan is because Roiv Klal Yisrael is not in Eretz Yisrael. So, in like 5 years from now, when Roiv Klal Yisrael will be in Eretz Yisrael, then it'll be mamish a deraisa. It'll be a big problem. Mamish like trumas and ma'aser deraisa. According to the Rambam, it's very interesting. In mamish, it's happening. No, the holdout.
Now we know.
Says Gemara, we're talking about marriages to Rabbanon, truma to Rabbanon. When the Beis Hamikdash is in existence, he can't feed her truma. Says the Gemara, doesn't it make more sense to talk about one food? Truma in America, Bisman Hazeh, or Eretz Yisrael, Bisman Hazeh, you could feed. But if there's a Beis Hamikdash, truma, you can't. Why are you jumping to another type of category called chaz v'shoik? You're right. This is what we're trying to say. In other words, in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, we are not going to allow him to feed her a derabanan truma. What's a deraisa truma? Take a look over here. Very, very pashut. The deraisa is dagan, tirosh, v'yitzar, grain, grapes, and olives. That's it. So pears, apples, oranges is only the rabbanon. Certainly vegetables. Says the Gemara, and why? What's the reason that in the time when we're being makbid on dagan, tirosh, v'yitzar, the deraisas, truma, you cannot feed her the rabbanon? The ma'aseh la'echla bit truma deraisa, because you're gonna give her apples, and tomorrow you're gonna give her grapes. People are gonna forget. But it's very strong. We're trying to say that in the time of the Eraisa of Chaz v'Shoik, there's not even a Derabanan. It's a big chiddush. It's a different way to learn it. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, Af machila bechaz v'shoik. He's a zachar 100%. If he's a zachar 100%, his marriage is 100%, and therefore he could feed her a chaz v'shoik. Misavers truma b'zman hazeh d'Rabbanan. Do you hold that truma in our days is the Rabbanan? In, and I'll prove it to you that it's the Rabbanan. Shani shoyna, igul beigulim oila. So if you take a look over here you have igul beigulim. What they used to do is they would take a fig and knock out the center and put it through a rope, and they called it igulei dveila. It was like a whole, like a cake. They have cake also, but they call this eagle. If you could, maybe it's this, maybe something else. I had a picture of a cake too once. We showed that. They're like a circle of figs. The way it worked is, this is chashav. One of these has 500 figs on it. So you go to the store and you buy one of these. How much does one of these cost? $25. But you don't. It's not by estimation. Each one, it's a davar shebeminyan, and davar shebeminyan is not bottle. Something that I sell, a diamond, if diamond was kosher or not kosher, I sell it at the mashal esrig. Davar shebeminyan for us, I don't know, the wholesalers, they probably buy it in boxes and who knows what. What? So it could go both ways. But let's just for a mashal, we understand the esrig. Each esrig is $100. It's a davar chashav. It cannot be bottle. If you have, let's say, arla, this, that, it's not bottle in other things. So, says Rish Lakish, Shani shoyna igul beigulim oila. You could be mevatel it, 1 in 100. If you have 101 of these, oila. What does oila mean? You take one out, and you give it to the kahén or whatever, and the rest becomes mutter. Take one out. So what do you see from here? You see that if you have truma, you have 101 of these igulim. I could take one out and say, hey, this one happens to be the truma, give it to Rabbi Schomburg, and the rest becomes mutter. You wouldn't be able to do that if it was a deraisa, because davar shebeminyan is loy bottle. The fact that I could do it proves to me, says Rish Lakish, that's the Rabbanan. Here you see, truma is the Rabbanan. End the story. Excuse me. There's a ma'aseh with the Klezmer Rebbe. A guy came over to him in Auschwitz, or wherever he was over there. I forgot the name of the camp. He said, I have a number. I'm a nothing. I'm a nobody. Look what they did to me. They put a number. I'm like a cow. He says, no. Davar shebeminyan loy batal. He said as a joke, like to be mechazik and davar shebeminyan. It happens to be that in this week's parasha, Kadosh Baruch Hu counts Klal Yisrael, we count Klal Yisrael. And it's to say that every single yid counts. Every yid counts, because davar shebeminyan counting. There's no such thing as I'm a nobody, I have ADD, I'm a nobody. No, every single yid is part of the symphony. Says the Gemara. Yeah, I'm not saying the symphony story now. Yeah. 500 people. It was a story by the Shem Tov, by the way. Yeah, 100%. Bottom says the Gemara. No, I'm saying all the good stories. Eventually they have in 100 years from now they'll say they have by Vilagain, by Menachem Breslev, by the Baal Shem Tov, and the Reb Ahron is not even going to be. Says the Gemara. When you have a piece of meat, the way you sell a piece of meat, right? A shtick flesh, you sell it by the piece. So if the piece is tamei, you could be mevatel it even though it's deraisa. How does that work? In the deraisa, Reb Ahron says that you could be mevatel even when it's a chashav, esrog that's chashav, says Reb Ahron you could. Why? He says very pashut. Look at this chart over here. It's just a shaila how you read the word. It's 2 letters. It's either S or it's kol. S means only, and kol means most likely, most of the time. And that's the big nafkamina. You could say that a diamond, maybe not, maybe you buy a bag of diamonds, you could ask Mendy. A normal diamond is never sold with estimation. It's davar shebeminyan, it's always. If there's anything in the world, it's like that, it's a diamond, yeah? But there's some things, iguli dveila, meat, once in a while you get a whole box of it. You get all this of it. It's estimation. But derech klal, you go to the store, they're going to sell you one eagle dvela. Sometimes not. It's not 100%. It's 80%. Is that enough? If you read it S, it has to be only and exclusively everywhere, all the time, and only like that. If you read it kal, then it means even in a situation where it's a b'derech klal. So let's see. He says, Mi savris, Rabbi Yochanan is talking to Rish Lakish. Mi savris kol? Kol means it's lighter, it's green, it's b'derech klal, usually. So that would fit Reb Lakish and his iguli dvela. But no, says Rabbi Yochanan, doesn't say kol. Kol shedar limana sheni. Es shedar limana sheni, no. It's a different word. Es means only. And iguli dvela doesn't fit into this. Mai. So what are we talking about? It's not. Look at this guy. Fenugreek, some say it is. Bikitz is some sort of spice of klaya kerem. Klaya kerem is the isser to plant vegetables together with the vineyard to mix up the vegetables. So it means usually a machloikis is only chita, everything, fine. But he made a mixture, an illegal mixture of something that grows in the ground. Yidolku. There's an isser hana of klaya kerem. You can't even sell it to a guy. Asabana. Here, it says in the pasuk, your vineyard you shouldn't plant the wheat there. Pen tigdash hameleya. So we learn the word. Rashi brings it here. Tukad eish. It's a lashon of isser. We're going to see this lashon soon. Kadesh. Kadesh over here means not like we know kadesh, but a lashon of aser. Tukad eish. Blow it up. Get rid of it. Nisarvu. Bacherois, turning to pay Aleph Amud Beis, Kulon Yidolku. Everything has to burn. Everything. Divrei Meir, sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of the Gold Star Mati Donut, sponsored obviously in honor of Eli Stefansky. Shkoyach. V'chachamim oimrim, Yalu be'echad u'mosayim. Yalu again. Take a package of this fenugreek. If you have 200 more, this is 201, take one out, and give it to the kahyan, or whatever you have to do. This is, okay, not to the kahyan, klaya kerem. So you destroy it. Why? What's a 1 in 200? Where do we call it 200? So the pasuk says over here in Yecheskel, v'seh achas min hatzoyin min hamosayim. The Gemara dashes somewhere else. Here we have a concept of 1 in 200. Okay. Shoyer me'oimer. Here's the word. Kol. Let's go back. Kol shedar kol limonos. Who says kol? Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish says b'derech klal. Igulei dveila, the figs, usually. Kol shedar kol limonos. Mikadesh. Mikadesh is the lashon that we saw over here in the pasuk. Tigdash aser. So here we see the nafkamin of kol and akol. Mikadesh. Not true. What can't you break and do bittul b'roiv? Only elo, shisha, dvarim, bilvad. We're talking about foods here, right? If they had those, what do they call those mushrooms? Those very expensive mushrooms. Truffles. Thank you. Truffles. Or I saw there's a Japanese melon that costs $30,000. I should go over there in Japan. They have fruit that costs. There's a watermelon that costs $6,000. Some grapes that cost $8,000. Kitzer, if those existed in time of the Gemara, it would also be in this list. The point is that these are the best of the best pomegranate in the world. How much could a pomegranate cost already? But the best, the top. These are not batal b'roiv. Shisha dvarim. We're not talking about diamonds because we're talking about food here.
That's meat, right? Same concept.
Yeah, it is. It's the same concept. That what is it called? That 1 pound that they have on the animal? No. They have that one. They sell whatever. Or a meal at Reserve Cut, or what's the name of that new one now? Whatever. Shiva, okay, the 7 chashuv foods. Elohen. The nuts from the place called Perach. Not just pomegranates. The top of the line, the best of the best from Badan. This I can understand. Closed barrels of wine. Didn't lose the flavor. Everything is good. V'chilfei trodden. Here, beet stalks. There are a lot of people that like beets. especially beet stalks, the top of the line beet stalks. V'kol chekruv, the best of the cabbage. Here you go, kol chekruv. Udlas Yevamos. I'm saying in those days, it's like, wow. Listen, if you get your kid to stay up the entire Seder by giving him a walnut, a goizim, so then a cabbage is like, wow. You're talking about a different generation. I showed, I don't know if you guys were here, but there was one year where I showed what I had to get my kids to stay up for the Seder. I brought an electric scooter and a bike and a this and all these achin. Yeah, it's a different generation.
You want me to change that to a cabbage?
It's kohlrabi.
No, I did kol chekruv, I did cabbage stalks, this is what came out. Okay, fine. Yeah, you can change it if you want. You just leave it in there for the jokes so people can make fun of me a little bit. Fine. Noise was a shvach shir that got him good. And we said the kol chekruv was a kohlrabi. It's Amor, it's that guy. Okay. Baruch Hashem, I didn't do Dlas Yevamos, Greek gourd, because the one picture of the Greek gourd that I was able to find had like, you know, the what is it called? Those letters all over that you're not allowed to use. And the other one was almost the same, but it wasn't Yevamos, and I was worried that someone's going to catch me. See, that's not Yevamos, that's Mitzris. Okay, so I didn't put it in. And now I got caught on this one. And Reb Akiva, what's the seventh? The bread. What's the chosh of bread today? Sourdough. Sourdough. That's not batal beroiv. Haruyin la. So these things, if they are royal arla from the list, what's royal arla? A pomegranate, something that grows on the tree. I believe even, I don't know, I guess the last would also, they grow high, I don't know, maybe it's more like a bush. Fine. But like Kerem, when we're talking about, well, chaviyos is also arla because it's grapes. Egoizi perach is the first three look like they are the fruits, so they have arla. The rest, beets, kruv, the rest are vegetables. You're going to savar es shedarka limano sheninu. Es means only. So then here's the machlokes. Reb Ahron takes the tzad that it means only, or Reb says b'derech klal. My chaticha, we mentioned about the piece of meat. Says the Gemara, at the end of the day, we're going to have to go through the sugi a little bit on Matzah Shabbos, but it's okay. Since it's a long daf tomorrow. You have a chatos which became tamei, and a chatos becomes tamei. Can't do anything with it. Can't eat it. There's 100 pieces for chatois tahiros. Here you have the lechem aponim, piece of bread that's in the heichal, and it's tamei. Also for the kain to eat it. Oh, so over here, this would be a problem according to Rish Lakish. Says the Gemara, and we continue. Rabbi Yehuda Omer loy ta'ala, and Rashi says the end of the sugya. Rabbi Yehuda says the idea of min b'minoi loy batal. You have bread within bread. Bread within bread is the same species, the same min. It doesn't become batal ever. If you have a piece of a kosher of a chatas tahira that's edible, which got mixed in to 100 pieces of chulin tahiros, v'chein prusa. So who could eat this? Who could eat this mixture? You have one piece of a chatas that you're allowed to eat, and 100 pieces that the whole world could eat. Who could eat it? Only a kohen. So why don't they do bittul b'roiv here? Because I could get away by selling it to a kohen. The market for the kohanim is much less. I'm going to make less money. That's not a good reason for you to use the bittul b'roiv. You hear? You hear what's going on? Why? You lose a little money. Fine, so lose money. Not a lot, a little money.
You lose the money, but you don't lose the hekdesh.
Right. But if I'm going to lose a lot of money and you lose hekdesh, okay, we'll see in a second. One piece of lechem hapanim that only a kohen could eat, which got mixed in got mixed up in the bakery. says Rashi. Hoyel v'efshel amachon l'koyin behefsed muad, says Rashi. V'chadicha ubrusa darkum l'monois. Mishum hefsed muad l'mevatlin nisur deraisa. For a small loss, we're not mevatel nisur deraisa. V'avagav the eagle, asks Rashi. What about the eagle? The figs. Batal b'chula v'leim azbinin le'koyin. Hasamu the eagle gufei truma the rabbanani. Truma the rabbanon we are mevatel. Reish tala de'ein lehem takona el sreifa v'ge hefsed kachim. So when it comes to a situation where you have to burn everything, so when you burn everything, now there's a loss of kachim. We have a problem with the piece of meat that you could be mevatel. According to Rish Lakish, you can't be mevatel. We're talking about where it dissolves. It's not something. It's not a piece of meat that you sell as a shtick flesh. That's not a shtick flesh that you sell. So a mela, and you don't sell like that. So that's why it is batal. Have a wonderful day, a great Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos, not here. I mean, we might show it here if you want to come. But Yerushalayim,